And we are live.
Good morning, everyone. It's the one and the only V, the Gorilla Economist, coming to you live with my main man, Latin Heat, aka El Cuco, CJ, who's working on the airways, making sure that the broadcast is coming out crispy and clean. You know what I mean. We give you the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out, roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter, and don't be a quitter at the Rogue Money, and check us out on every single podcasting app known to humanity. And Facebook, Steamid, DTube, we're all there. We're everywhere you want us to be. And then check out our sponsors, remaincom.net, remaincom.net. Whether you need 600,000 unsecured from their lending network of 335 lenders, you name it, these guys can get the funds for you if you need for investments, businesses, whatever the heck you need, private and business funding. Go there, go there, go there, go there, go there. Also, if you need your credit repaired, they can take you from a low score to a high score. So say no more. RemainCom.net. Don't freak out. Remain calm, where there's the gold USB so you can surf the web anonymously, or a smart banking option so you can be protected against any sort of bank levies and disasters. Check them out. RemainCom.net. Don't freak out. Remain calm. With that being said, CJ, what's crack lacking, buddy?
Hey, good morning, V. Good morning. I'm doing great, V. Listen, I can sleep better now knowing that the three UCLA players are back on U.S. soil, V. I'm so excited about that.
Yes, I can sleep better at night. I can sleep better at night, knowing that those three UCLA players are back on USA soil, and Hillary Clinton is still walking around free. I sleep better at night.
Yeah, no,
Oh
I'm doing
man.
great. I told myself before the show started, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be a little bit more optimistic. The last couple of days, I've been like Debbie Downer. Yesterday you and Gus kind of fired me up. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I was muted because I was laughing my tail off during the broadcast several times. But no, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm hanging in there. Just getting better health wise. So it might be a little bit of still a little low energy here and there, like low energy Jeb, but I wasn't as bad as I was a few days ago. So much better, bro.
Good deal. Good deal.
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. What's the first order of business, dude? You want to talk about the the idiots in Detroit?
Let's talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about this war on drugs that
Ugh.
continues, and it's just thing that they can't figure out in terms of the demand side, the supply side, and now Detroit's doing some very unique things. They're doing some very unique things to counter the drug trafficking that's occurring on the streets of Detroit. V.
An internal investigation, CJ, has been launched by the vaunted Detroit Police Department after two different police precincts got into a fistfight as they converge on an East Side neighborhood. Now, listen to this story, right? It all started when two special ops, more like special ed officers from the 12th precinct were operating a push off. I guess it's a drug sting where the officers pretend to be drug dealers, and a quote unquote would be customer would show up. The officers would pretend to give drugs to the customer and then arrest them on the spot. Okay, that's the whole entire thing of a push off. Now, that is when two undercover officers pretend to be dope dealers waiting for eager customers to approach and then arrest the potential buyers and seize their vehicles. But this time, instead of customers,
Nice.
the special ed officers from the 11th precinct showed up. So you got the 12th precinct and then the 11th precinct, which is probably right next to the 12th to begin with. Okay, so it's not like these guys are like one's the 12th precinct and the other one is like the 23rd or the first or the second precinct, right?
I think it basically just splits 8 Mile Road. To the
Yeah,
north and south of 8 Mile
that's
is
it.
the different.
Exactly. So, but this time instead of customers, the special ed officers from the 11th precinct drove up. Not realizing they were fellow officers, they ordered the other undercover officers to the ground. Fox 2 is told that the rest of the special ed team from the 12th precinct showed up, and then all of a sudden the officers began raiding a house in the 1900 block of Andover. And instead of fighting crime, officers from both precincts began fighting each other. Sources say guns were drawn and punches were thrown while the homeowners stood and watched.
You imagine being a homeowner and you're looking outside your front yard and you're trying to figure out who these bozos are that are out there brawling, pulling guns on each other, and you're like, I don't recognize any of these fools out here. I'm
And,
sure these, I'm sure the people that live in this neighborhood feel a lot safer now, B.
yeah, they have the best. They have the best in the business, Siege. They have the best in the business. I would get the popcorn out and watch these morons brawl. The department's top cops, that's a euphemism right there, were notified along with internal affairs that each officer involved is now under investigation. I guess you have to have more communication, I think, said the rest. Oh, Detroit, Detroit, Detroit. And they got a backlog, okay? You look at the backlog in the Detroit PD of crimes that have yet to be investigated. It's over 4,000 right now. It's like way north of 4,000. That is Detroit for you. It's the failed state of affairs. And again, a case study what happens when loony left wing nut jobs begin to run a city into the ground. You cannot allow loony left wing nut jobs to control or take over your city, otherwise, you'll wind up like a Detroit. Meanwhile, in Sweden, CJ, going off the meme of
Here we go.
yesterday, why don't you break this one down, dude? It's funny news of the day.
Yeah,
Stupid
so
Sweden.
we all know that Sweden has just been, just crippled by the amount of refugees that are coming in, and the amount of attacks, the amount of violent sex attackers that's occurring. To come forth to not necessarily identify who is committing these crimes. They feel that it's far more important to designate whether it's a male or female, how they label these attacks. So never mind who's committing these rapes and attacks. They're not so concerned about that. The only thing that truly matters, V, is that they're men in Sweden. It doesn't matter any of their background, and obviously we know why they're doing this. They're doing it primarily because they don't want to offend minorities. They want to be very moderate in terms of who they're identifying. And then also it states in here the moderates have also made a number of other suggestions to reform the rape laws in Sweden, including increasing the sentence for coercive rape to 5 to 8 years in prison, and very serious rape should have a sentence between 7 and 10 years behind bars. Where's that fine line behind coercive and serious rape? I don't know. I guess we're probably just going to have to ask a refugee, V.
Dude, it's unbelievable. Right now in Sweden, bro, there are over 62 no-go zones. 62 towns and cities and places that are in Sweden that are considered no-go zones for police. Think about that. Let that number sink in there. I mean, how ridiculous, my man. How ridiculous are we looking at this whole entire thing? It's unbelievable, man. And yet, it's not. Let's not focus on the fact that these people are just culturally incompatible. Let's just not talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that these rapes are all done by men. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the collapse of society, right? I mean, think about that. How would you feel your city, your town, and you identify, oh, by the way, there's these 12, 15 different areas that you're not allowed to go into. So never mind what's going on there. Just avoid it. That's a valid reason to justify continuously bringing these migrants in. So good luck, Sweden. That's all I gotta say, V's. Good
I
luck.
mean, they're done, dude. This is a textbook study of what happens when you have women and gynocentric policies running the entire freaking country. It's extreme leftism taken to the utmost, and this is what happens: extinction of civilization, and it's disgusting.
Bingo.
Yeah, man. Moving on. What else we got going on, Siege?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin bounced back up, and it looks like now Squared, which is a very popular payment system. Squared first came out with the first mobile payment device. Easy for vendors, so forth, to just
Yeah.
plug into their phone. Boom! It looks like they're exploring V on how Squared began using the cryptos for payment. So it states here, quote unquote, we're exploring how Square can make the experience faster and easier, and have rolled out this feature to a small number of Cash App customers. We believe cryptocurrency can greatly impact the ability of individuals to participate in the global financial system, and we're excited to learn more here. So that was one of the things in regards to the cryptos, is that who can accept it, how it can be paid. And now Squared, I don't know their numbers in terms of how many payment subscribers that they have on Squared. I know it's very popular for a long time. Good news is that the entire crypto space continues to evolve and go on to new territory. V.
Yep, absolutely, man. And as currencies collapse, cryptocurrencies begin to soar and be utilized. Case in point, in Zimbabwe, Bitcoin's over $13,000 a Bitcoin in Zimbabwe. The Standard, Zimbabwe's leading Sunday newspaper, ran an article titled "Black Market Thrives as Banks Run Dry." I mean, typically, you want to get a money transfer into Zimbabwe, you may have to wait a month in order to get your money. I mean, who the hell needs that? Harare's road port has become the unofficial bank of last resort, never short of cash, no queues, and a multi currency platform. The money market at this busy bus terminus now plays the role that the formal banking sector has failed. It is effectively making a mockery of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, and this points to the nature of black markets. They thrive based upon fulfilling an existing need, not upon government control. They therefore replace whatever services the official market fails to provide, and top government officials, supermarket owners, and service stations were behind the thriving black market, which is never short of cash. Now, it appears many Zimbabweans have found an alternative way to store and transfer wealth away from Mugabe's prying and its confiscatory eyes. In September, we noted that the hyper Bitcoinization occurring in Zimbabwe, and this is something you and I, CJ, talked about myriad of times in places like Zimbabwe and Venezuela, that Bitcoin usage has gone through the roof. In October, Zimbabwe demand started to impact the global price of cryptocurrency. 2 weeks ago, we noted that the doubling of the prices of Bitcoin in Zimbabwe, as uncertainty of the nation's stability, sent citizens into a decentralized currency that was out of their government's reach. And now, just after the military coup confirms the average Joe's fears, Bitcoin is trading at over $13,000 of Zimbabwe exchange Golex, a premium of over 80% over the USD exchange prices as demand surge. Again, huge. Why? Because
Yeah.
people want to be able to have access to money. And now there's world. Look, guys, you will say, that's nice for Zimbabwe, but what does that have to do with us? See? Well, it's simple. Zimbabwe is showing right now, it's a beautiful little beta test, that cryptocurrencies is outperforming banks and central banks. They're outperforming banks and central banks. They are providing a service that banks are incapable of providing. Isn't that beautiful, Siege?
Yeah, and as Cointelegraph notes, it's a very interesting case study, because now we're witnessing it here in Zimbabwe, but also you remember when the case that evolved in Venezuela. Now, obviously, we're not happy to see those situations occur there, but at the same time, I think this gives a great testimony of the utilization of the ability to counter the collapse of monetary systems. V.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely correct, man. It's a huge, huge feather in the cap for cryptocurrencies and the power of decentralization. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like once you're decentralized, okay, once you're decentralized and you are free of the constraints and the chokehold of governments, and you're off to the races, man. You can't be stopped. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, CJ. It's an absolutely beautiful thing, and I, for one, am a big fan. I love it. I love it. I mean, how many times we're going to prove the efficacy of Bitcoin. How many times are we going to prove that, man? It's unbelievable. I love it.
Yeah, and I think our listeners will truly appreciate. I know we talked a bit about it yesterday with Gus. I think our listeners will truly appreciate the Rogue Coin interview we did yesterday with Tokenly,
Oh
and
yeah,
the explanation that he gives in the data regarding the whole Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold. So I'm gonna look. We're gonna try to get that released tonight, V, for our fans.
that'll be
So
awesome.
be yeah. So good stuff, and like I said, we'll try to deliver on that.
Absolutely. With that being said, CJ, the next order of business: what can Trump learn, and what can Trump and the West can learn from China? But they keep failing to do it, bro. Right? What's this all about, CJ?
Yeah, I mean, if you think of just on on the most recent visit that he had in dealing specifically, with North Korea, and how we've had such a strong arm against him in terms of, hey, you cannot, become a nuclear powerhouse. The amount of intimidation, everything that's occurred, versus what China has done, and that's by taking a look at infrastructure, taking a look at trade, taking a look at unique needs. And through diplomacy, V, when you always through conversation, whether it's conversations, arguments, debates, when you have the ability to reach that fine, middle ground, that someone sees that, hey, you know what, maybe something is benefiting me, those long-term solutions that can really help doing versus more Western politics of, we're going to arm the South, we're going to have these, bases. It doesn't work. It has gotten nowhere, V. So again, there's a lot to be learned in terms of the ability to negotiate, and with China with their One Belt One Road project. And I know our listeners probably like, we're tired of hearing about the One Belt One Road, but it's probably the most exciting thing in terms of trade in this century, V.
Man, it's incredible. It is incredible, and it blows my mind away. Then when you look back just several decades ago, China was just a backwater country. It was a nowhere land. Today, it is the haunt of over a third of the world's billionaires live in China. 60% of female women, real women, not in transgendered women, not pretending to be a woman, not non-binary women. I'm talking about real women. Billionaires are in China. And it's amazing to me that, like, I mean, you look at their little one-party system as it went from the communistic party to almost like a meritocracy to begin with. They're cracking down on corruption. They're doing a lot of great things, man. Are they perfect? Far be it. Far be it from perfect. But as a one-party state, the advantages that they've seen here from just and just being apolitical and just looking at it just from a very clinical mindset. You look at it, you see that one party state, this meritocracy that they have set up there. It makes sure that the resources, their time, the energy, the capital, they're not put towards pork barrel spending like you see in U.S. politicians. They're not used in like wasteful, bridges to nowhere and pork spending here and pork spending there, and so much money's gone to waste over here in the United States in comparison to China. But instead, the Chinese, what they do is they take that money and it's invested in wealth creation activities. In other words, they will help create and foster an environment for entrepreneurs to come forward and build businesses and create amazing things. That's why they've created so many billionaires in such a short amount of time. It's unbelievable. You cannot question. I don't care. You sit there, oh, they're communist. They got problems. Look. They created more billionaires than anybody else in the world at this point, so quickly. It's unbelievable. So when you create that type of infrastructure, you create that type of atmosphere, you're going to have constructions and factories and plants and research and technology and bleeding edge of technology. And you look at how we do in our campaigns, where we waste so much time on elections and campaigns and polling and political consultation and this, that, and the other, and all this BS and lobbying and all the money and all the back channel pork barrel spending and this, that, and the other. And the idiot war goddess herself, who spent over $1 billion on her stupid campaign, 500 million on dumb ads that nobody watched. I mean, you see what's going on here, man. It is unbelievable. And it's staggering. And the numbers are the result, in part, Siege, from political parties seeking public office and once elected, exploiting their position to enrich themselves. That's why you got to read Peter Schweizer's book, Extortion, which details exactly what these scumbags do as soon as they hit the ground in D.C. You will learn real quick why they are the swamp. Okay? They do these things to enrich themselves, their constituents. They create a dependent classes among the ever-shrinking productive segments of society. That means they eviscerate the middle class. China's foreign policy is an extension of politics. Has also been conducive for wealth creation instead of wasteful spending on military hardware, which is what we do very well, the maintenance of far-flung global empire, which is what we do, and the involvement of incessant wars, which is what we do. China has rather meek military spending compared to its national income and has conducted a pretty much non-interventionist foreign policy. Witness its diplomacy in North Korea. U.S. is the complete polar opposite. We spend more on defense than the next 8 countries combined. And instead of production of useful consumer goods, billions are sucked off into the military industrial complex. Not only does it impoverish Americans at home, but it leads to never-ending involvement in wars, conflicts, disputes, all of which, CJ, are exacerbated by U.S. intelligence, quote unquote, I say that euphemistically, intelligence organizations. It's unbelievable. You know, I mean, we're talking about, making better trade deals, but we'll not revitalize, making better trade deals. I mean, okay, we're going to have better trade deals, but what is better trade deals? Okay, you reverse an $800 billion trade deficit. You still have a $20 trillion debt. So what's 800 billion? Less than 1% of 20 trillion? I mean, come on, right?
Right.
So how are you going to revitalize the economy? You said there should be less politicization of society and have real market reforms. Put back Glass-Steagall. Get rid of the power of Wall Street. Get back. I mean, we don't have this. We are rotting like a corpse from the foundation to the topmost stone. We are literally rotting away. Okay? And the most important thing, man, and here's the difference between what China does and what we do. We encourage our population to get in debt. Get this new credit card. Take this drug. Get sick. Get medical bills. Go bankrupt. Go do this. Go get a student loan. Go to college. Have $100,000 in debt. Go buy a friggin' mortgage on an overpriced piece of property and spend the next 30 years trying to pay it off. Spend money you don't have. What China does is they encourage real savings, not the creation of bank credit, right? They encourage real savings through what? The things that benefits the saver and is detrimental to the bankster. What is that? Normal interest rates. This would begin the process of capital accumulation. Zero and negative interest rates alongside with QE. I've said it so many times, and so many other guys have said this so many times. That doesn't create capital accumulation. It creates capital malformation and capital destruction. So if you have capital accumulation, that is the foundation on which a vibrant economy is built. That's the most important thing. The other way that we diverge, and we are a bunch of like adolescent children in comparison to what the Chinese are doing, is China's continued push to make the yuan the world's reserve currency with apparently some sort of gold backing to it. Contrarily, the U.S. has continued the same disastrous policies. Okay? And these same policies that we've always done. That's what I said. Like, look, no matter who's elected, we got the same ridiculous foreign policy. We have the same stupid monetary policy. Nothing's done. Nothing's done. So you want to drain the swamp. Why don't we, sometimes the best way to drain the swamp is to cut the financial power behind it. So on the other hand, China continues to import massive quantities of gold, encourages its citizens to own the same yellow metal. Meanwhile, we in the West are what? What are we doing in the West? We are encouraging, we vilify gold, we demonize real cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether, this and the other. And we're encouraging people to get into more and more debt. China's economic miracle is incredible. It's incredible. And it's not, and it's something, I mean, they laid out the blueprint. It's something that we can do, but we don't have the political will to do it. What's doable is not politically possible, and what's politically possible is not doable. And what do you have left, CJ? Gridlock.
Well said, V. Absolutely.
Anyway, man, the bus driver keeps on moving. 3 flat tires and two gets, but moving.
No, just is that what I typed this morning?
I don't know what you typed.
Oh, 2 gears. 2 gears.
They're like, what?
Spell check. Yeah. So Nicolas Maduro, we covered it yesterday.
Yeah, let's go.
Venezuela's its bond and its restructuring. They basically had a meeting for a photo op, which they still failed to declare. Any type of a debt default. It's more or less, okay, we met, okay, we feel good, we're out of here. But now it appears that Vladimir Putin in Russia is coming to a little bit of aid, coming to help. They have signed an agreement to restructure a little over $3 billion of debt owned by Venezuela. They don't give exact details, just in terms of the payback. The first 6 years are going to be low, probably just interest only. Now, whether you can make these payments back again, who knows? But I'm sure that the bigger stake, V, has a lot to do more with the oil industry there in Venezuela and the stake that Russia will probably be taking going forward. Hence the reason that the U.S. is saying we need more sanctions on Venezuela is their massive pivot. But it just goes again to demonstrate the ability to negotiate and come to terms. Russia, it states in this article, by no part is happy with everything the government there is doing. But Venezuela is an ally where Russia has economic interest, and Moscow is firmly against a regime there.
Yep. War between Iran and Saudi Arabia could send oil to $300 a barrel and impoverish the entire planet. Siege. What is that all about?
Yeah, again, something we want to keep documenting, keep observing. We had the great roundtable discussion. It's something that we already knew, that any type of between the Saudis and Iran would result. These people that are estimating, these financial analysts are stating specifically that we could see, if the event there is a military escalation, that oil prices could increase via as much as 500%, which would be very destructive to the economies, world economies.
And that's why we need to pray that never happens, my man. We gotta definitely make sure that does not happen at all. That's another reason why I think that when we look at it in this regard, the war is going to be more unlikely. I mean, China and Russia is not going to sit around and allow, this type of conflict to take place, and and then sit idly by because of the greater global situation here, and that's a good thing. And that's a very good thing. So
yeah, and I think the Saudis specifically know that as well, as far as what
it's mutually assured destruction, and no one's going to allow that. No one's going to allow that. Saner minds shall prevail, my man. Saner minds shall prevail.
Absolutely, and it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. So with that being said, folks, we are over and out. We'll be back at 12 with our main guy, Harley Schlanger, and we'll take it from there. With that being said, CJ, take it away.